Welcome back to another edition of Songs of the Ozarks, a project of the Ozark Studies Institute, an ongoing initiative of the Missouri State University Libraries. My name is Emily Flatness, and today's date is April 14th. My special guest and I are here in the Ozarks room at Missouri State University, and our special guest is Mr. Joshua Gilbert.
Hi.
Thank you so much for meeting with me today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Would you mind starting us off with a little song?
Yeah. I'll do a little instrumental.
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
What a fun tune.
Under the Double Eagle.
Wow, how'd you learn that song?
That is an old fiddle tune that I probably heard that when I was 6 years old from Cyril Stinnett of Northwest Missouri.
Wow. I'm not familiar with, say that name again?
Cyril Stinnett.
Cyril Stinnett.
He was probably, my opinion, one of the nation's finest fiddle players.
Wow.
Played left-handed over the bass.
Really?
Won the Weezer Idaho contest, I believe, in '68.
Wow.
National treasure.
So, did you grow up around him?
I did. And a lot of the Northwest Missouri kind of influence of fiddle playing. I grew up second, and that's probably my favorite thing in the world to do is second behind a fiddle.
Wow. So where did you grow up?
Maryville, Missouri.
Really?
Yep, north of St. Joe, about 45 miles, 10 miles from the Iowa border, big farmland.
Relatively rural community.
Very.
Rural. Was there a lot of music around?
There was. Every little town out and about had an Opry of some sort, and every Friday night and Saturday night, that's where we'd be.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it mostly old time or bluegrass music?
There was a lot of bluegrass. There was a lot of classic country. There's really a mix of everything. Some of the guys, if you said bluegrass, they'd get a little uptight. Other guys would be just all over it.
This newfangled bluegrass music. So, what genre do you mostly identify with now as a musician?
I'd say probably old-time Americana. I like taking bits and pieces of bluegrass and country and old-time traditional and kind of throwing them together.
How did you first get started playing?
My granddad showed me 3 chords on the guitar, and I kind of took it from there. I'd sit around the record player and play right along with it, then take the needle, move it back, and just continue on until I got where I could mimic what I heard.
Wow. And what kind of records did you listen to?
Oh, probably the very first record, which I still have at home, is Poor Richard's Almanac, Sam Bush, Alan Munday.
Wow.
It's probably what really got me interested in music by far.
And Alan Munday, he's here in the Ozarks.
He sure is, and it's a pleasure anytime I get to play around with him.
Fantastic. So you mentioned your grandfather played. He played guitar as well.
Played guitar, sang, and my dad played and sang. Everyone else in the family just clapped their hands and tapped their feet.
Did they ever play, you mentioned playing for fiddlers, did they ever play square dances or?
A few square dances. It was kind of odd up in that part of the country. We'd have get-togethers, but not really square dances.
Really?
Versus when I moved down here, there was a lot of square dances going on.
No kidding. I wonder why that is.
I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, like in this area here, a lot of the fiddle was inspired by the Scotch-Irish versus Central Missouri, Northwest Missouri. You got a lot of the German influence, and it seemed like the German influence was just a little bit slower in tempo than the Irish and Scotch.
Really? Was there a big difference in the jamming culture down here versus up there?
Yes, absolutely. Now, we'd get together and we'd have great jams. In this area here, every time you turn around, there's a musician somewhere. And the jams are everywhere.
That's true. Is there a big difference, other than you talked about the slow tempo, between the style of jams?
Yeah, I would say, like jam-wise, in Northwest Missouri, we had more, it leaned more towards your classic country than anything else.
Really?
Yeah.
Whenever you say classic country, what kind of songs are...
Oh, Hank Sr., Ernest Tubb, Hawkshaw Hawkins, all the stuff from the 30s and 40s and 50s.
Wow. Well, would you mind singing us
Yeah,
something? Maybe an old country song would be...
I could probably do that. Now I have to think about it. Today I passed you on the street, and my heart fell at your feet. I can't help it if I'm still in love with you. Someone else by your side, and it looks so satisfied. I can't help it if I'm still in love with you. A picture from the past came slowly stealing as I brushed your arm, walked so close to you. Suddenly I got that old time feeling. I can't help it if I'm still in love with you. Kind of the short version.
Oh, that's such a great song. Tell me a little bit about that song.
That song is probably my favorite Hank Sr. song there ever was. Of course, I grew up listening to it on the records, and we got internet and YouTube. You know, that was the big thing. I think when him and Anita Carter did that song, it was probably the most, I don't know, maybe life-changing thing for me, and music-wise, it was so pure. And I always said if I found a gal that looked at me like Anita looked at Hank, I'd marry her.
So, when did you start getting into singing?
You know, I didn't get into singing until later on in life. I think I was probably 18 or 19 before I even uttered a single word.
Really?
I grew up, of course, second behind fiddles and playing a little bit of lead. Then I switched off to mandolin and banjo and other instruments, and just never had the courage to get up on stage and sing anywhere. Then one day it hit me that, hey, I'll just do it. Then ever since then, can't get me to shut up.
Did you play any shows as a kid, or was it mostly jamming?
We did a lot of shows. Played with Marlin's Golden Country for a number of years.
What a good name.
Well before I was 16.
Wow.
Different groups throughout the years, and my granddad and I. We'd play a lot of nursing homes, and that's really where I got a love for music also. It was something really special when you could walk in somewhere and do a song, and someone that might be, you know, bedridden or hadn't uttered words for quite a few years, you know, they come alive with the sound of music. That was just great.
Back in those days, what did the folks in nursing homes mostly like?
They liked a lot of the same stuff that we were doing
Really?
from the 30s, 40s, and 50s. A lot of the Ernest Tubb songs, you know, that's probably one of the fondest memories I have. We did Ernest Tubb's Rainbow at Midnight, and a fellow that hadn't talked to anyone since he'd been in there. Kind of sat up a little bit and just uttered the words, "That's Rainbow at Midnight." I mean, he knew the song, and that was great.
Wow, that is great. So what brought you to Southwest Missouri?
Well, industry. I'm a diesel mechanic by trade, and we have 44, 65, 13, 60 highway running right through Springfield. There's lots of trucks that need work.
Yeah.
We go out and do 24-hour mobile service, so we're constantly on the go, and try to not let that interfere with my musical life.
Right. That'd be hard with all these trucks, awfully busy. Have you played with bands around this area as well?
I have. When I first moved down here, I got really acquainted with Flat Creek Bluegrass. Dallas Hicks and that bunch. Unfortunately, most of them are gone now. But played with Sauk River Bluegrass for a good number of years. And then just little duos here and there. Jeremy Myers, played a lot of fiddle back up with him. And of course, Abby Waterworth, and Dee Hoffman. There's so many people out there.
There are. Before I get on to talking about more jam culture, would you mind describing the difference between bluegrass and old time music in your words?
Well, I think really what we think about bluegrass, Bill Monroe, the hard driving, Earl Scruggs banjo picking. That's what I think of when I think of bluegrass. Old time, I think more clawhammer banjo, more old Appalachian style tunes. That's what really comes to mind when I think about that. Like Tommy Jarrell out of the Carolinas, that's traditional to me.
Definitely. Do you think there's more bluegrass or old time around here?
I'd say there's a good mix of both. There is a lot of bluegrass, but there's probably more old time in this area than I've ever seen anywhere.
Really? Why do you think that is?
I think a lot of the traditions and music from like Appalachia, of course, came to the Ozark, and they just keeps on rolling on.
I suppose we are blessed with Mountain View,
Right.
Mountain View, Arkansas, folk capital, music capital of the world.
Right.
So, tell me a little bit about this jam that you've started.
We started a jam 11 years ago, right here in Springfield. It was kind of just a little get together. 10, 20 of us get together and jam the first Saturday of each month, and it's really grown. Over the years, we've had fiddle contests, we do potluck suppers. Usually once a year we try to do a guitar giveaway. It's all non-for-profit. We just get together, have a good time, pass around tunes, and that's what it's all about.
Wow. Where's that located at?
It's at Orchard Crest Baptist Church in Springfield. First Saturday of each month. Jam starts about 4 p.m. And we usually have a band come in and play. Sometimes it's just a jam, and we'll play till the lights go out.
Wow. So tell me about the fiddle contests that you've hosted.
I've hosted 3 fiddle contests. The first one we had fiddlers in from Virginia. We've had them in from Texas, just all around, and grew into the second year, same thing. Third year, same thing. And I realized after 3 of them that there's a lot of work to fiddle contest. With my work, the regular jam and that, I couldn't keep up with all of them. But I'll tell you, talent-wise, wow. We had several national champions show up to play. It was just unreal.
Wow. What kind of tunes did you hear at these fiddle contests?
A lot of traditional tunes, a lot of traditional contest tunes. I don't want to get myself in too much trouble there. There's a lot of debate on, contest tunes and traditional tunes. And I personally think there's a little bit of difference, but all great. With your contest tunes, a lot of times they're traditional tunes with a lot of fancy internals worked in as well, and it's amazing. I mean, technically, I couldn't even begin to tell you how to do any of that, but
Wow.
yeah, good, very good.
Was there a lot of young folks?
There was. We had several divisions, senior, open, and a junior and a peewee division,
Wow.
and lots and lots of young folks in there playing. And that's what I like to see, and that's what I like to see with my jams as well. Get the younger folks and their younger kids and carry on that tradition.
Yeah. Where do you see the traditions like potlucks and
I think, we saw a big decline in a lot of that stuff over the years, but I think it's going to make a comeback. I see more and more interest amongst the youngsters in bluegrass, in old time, and I think it's going to make a big comeback.
yeah,
I hope so.
it's reminiscent of house parties that
Uh-huh.
folks would have. Did you go to a lot of house parties
We hosted
as
a
a
lot.
kid? Really?
Oh yeah, we hosted a lot. A lot of the neighbors down the road played, and we would go back and forth between their house and ours. But yeah, there was always weekends. If we weren't playing at a small Opry, there was a music party going on at the house.
Wow. What was happening at these small Opries that you've mentioned?
Lots of dancing.
Really?
Oh yeah, lots of dancing and lots of good music and just good times. I often look back and think, man, that's some of the best times of my life.
Wow.
And learned a lot from a lot of the older players. And the older ladies would wear me out on the dance floor.
What kind of music was mostly played at these little places?
A lot of that was classic country. We did
Yeah.
have some bluegrass and old time stuff, but most of it was older country.
Do you think there's any places similar to that around here?
There is. I mean, there's several places. I know we talked a little about McClurg on the traditional side, and I'd say that's probably one of the best traditional jams in this area. I've been to several other jams throughout, and some of them aren't even around anymore. It seems like Sycamore used to have one out west of town. Cleo. Yeah, there's there's another little town down by Ozark. I can't think of the name of that now. They have a little Opry, but there's definitely places around.
Yeah. What do you think of the Branson influence on Southwest Missouri? Do you think that's kind of helped keep country and traditional music?
I think the Branson influence has. I'm not real familiar with the Branson end of things. I know, the Ozark Jubilee, of course, started right here.
Yeah. Do you know much about the Jubilee?
I know just a little bit, just from things that I've been told. Well, one of the original dancers used to come to my show, and
No kidding.
90-some years old, he'd still get out there and do some clogging.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but I really think that has kept the country music alive in this area, especially Branson, Springfield area.
What was that gentleman's name? Do you remember?
Sherrill, and I can't think of his last name for the life of me.
And what kind of dancing did he do on the Jubilee?
He did a lot of clog, jigs. He was one of their main dancers on there.
Wow.
He was good.
That's fantastic. Do you think that there still is a memory of the Jubilee alive in Springfield whenever?
I think there is, especially among some of the older generations. I would say the younger generations may have heard about it, but maybe not either. There was at one time a little deal going around where they wanted to try to restart it, but I don't think everything ever panned out of that.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your guitar.
This guitar is my favorite. It's a 49 Martin D18. This belonged to Jimmy Campbell, which was the fiddle player for Bill Monroe in the early 90s.
Wow.
It's been treated rough and banged around, but that just gives it character. The best thing on the back has a big Bill Monroe signature.
Wow.
And talking to Jimmy's brother, he had several of these guitars that he had Bill sign, and I was lucky enough to end up with this one.
It's fantastic.
It's my workhorse, that's for sure.
Wow. Would you mind playing a couple more
Yeah.
for us?
Absolutely.
Playing
absolutely.
or singing, whatever.
I'll do something traditional, I guess, that my granddad used to sing quite a bit. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley, hang down your head and cry. Killed old Laurie Foster, and now you're bound to die. Took her on the hillside, and there you took her life. Took her on the hillside, she wouldn't be your wife. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley, hang down your head and cry. Killed old Laurie Foster, and now you're bound to die. By the roadside and hid her clothes and shoes. Dug a grave 3 feet wide and dug it 3 feet deep. Rolled the cold clay over her and trumped it with your feet. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley, hang down your head and cry. Give old Laurie Foster, and now you're bound to die. This time tomorrow, reckon there'll be hanging way down yonder from an old oak tree. Hadn't been for Grayson, I wouldn't be here today. Hadn't been for Grayson, I would have gone away. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley, hang down your head and cry. Give old Laurie Foster, and now you're bound to die. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley, hang down your head and cry. Give old Laurie Foster, and now you're bound to die. Yeah.
What a good song.
That's there's been many renditions of that, but that's the version that I like to do.
Where did you learn that specific version?
My granddad.
Really?
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about the history of that song.
Well, Tom Dooley was a real fella, and he did a lot of bad things. He killed little Laurie Foster, and that last part of that song, if it hadn't been for Grayson, I wouldn't be here today. That refers back to Sheriff Grayson that actually arrested Tom Dooley. And they hung old Tom. There's many songs about Tom Dooley, if I remember right, and some variations, but he was quite the scoundrel, I guess.
Yeah, that song kind of had some mainstream success too, didn't it? With
It
the
did,
Kingston?
Kingston Trio, yes.
It's fantastic.
I think I heard Doc Watson do a version of that, him and, Clarence Ashley maybe? I can't remember now. It's been a long time, but they did a version that was really close to what Grandpa used to do.
Really? How interesting. In 2 different regions.
Oh yeah, which a lot of my family came from that area right there where Tom was at.
No kidding?
Yep, we came from eastern Kentucky and Tennessee and Lee County, Virginia.
Wow. Do you know if they played music or?
They did. I had my great grandpa was a fiddle player and banjo player, and he had a brother that was down in Arkansas. That was a Arkansas national champ fiddle player.
Wow.
Or state champ fiddle player, yeah. Yep, all those, all the Gilbert guys seem to play music.
So it's hereditary.
Yeah.
Did they sing?
Yes. Yeah, my great grandpa, of course, he was gone well before I was even thought of. My granddad said he sang a lot of high tenor. And of course, Grandpa sang more baritone. I don't know what I sing. I'm all over the place.
And they were probably, playing pre-bluegrass.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, my great granddad was born in 1873
Wow.
and was doing all that traditional stuff. When it wasn't maybe traditional, it was current.
Do you know what songs they played? Any examples?
I know my great grandpa played a lot of leather breeches. I know he played leather breeches. I remember Grandpa talking about that. And the Orphan Girl, that's another my grandpa would sing. He said his dad would sing. And my word, the bunch of tunes that I probably forgot. I know my granddad would say, "Oh yeah, my dad played that. He played this or played that."
Yeah, those are some tunes that, I still hear them in jams.
Oh yeah.
Maybe not so much Orphan Girl.
Yeah, that's. I've only heard it out maybe once or twice ever in all the years I've been playing.
Yeah.
If I could remember all the words, I'd do it. But
Well, is there any others you'd be interested in showing us?
oh my, yeah. I'm trying to think the name of that tune. It's another my granddad did. It's an old Irish tune. I know I've traced it back a long ways.
Really?
The Wind and Rain.
Okay. Were they Irish in descent, your family?
Scotch Irish, yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, we all came over here in the early 1700s and made our way to Missouri, and that's where we stayed.
Fantastic.
See if I can get through this. Two loving sisters walking side by side. Oh, the wind and the rain. One pushed the other in the water so wide, and she cried the dreadful wind and rain. Well, she floated on down to the miller's mill pond. Oh, the wind and rain. She floated on down to the miller's mill pond, and she cried the dreadful wind and rain. Made fiddle strings of her long blonde hair. Oh, the wind and rain. Made fiddle strings of her long blonde hair, and she cried the dreadful wind and rain. Made fiddle pegs of her tiny finger bones. Oh, the wind and rain. Made fiddle pegs of her tiny finger bones, and she cried the dreadful wind and rain. And the only tune that fiddle would play was oh, the wind and rain. The only tune that fiddle would play was oh, the dreadful wind and rain. Yeah.
I've never heard that song.
Yeah, that's an old traditional tune. I think about the only other band I ever heard do that was the Red Clay Ramblers.
Really?
And that was off an album from like the 70s.
Wow.
Terribly mournful, dreadful song.
Yeah. Made fiddle pegs out of her fingers?
But yep, out of her tiny finger bones and made fiddle strings of her long blonde hair.
Oh dear. It's interesting that song runs in the family.
Yeah, right. But so many of those tunes are like that, like the Knoxville Girl and Banks of the Ohio. If you really get down to the lyrics of them, they're really quite dreadful.
Yeah. I've always, I guess compared it to, the Dateline NBC of...
Right.
Why do you think so many songs were so dark?
Maybe it's a way of remembrance, or maybe, I don't know. I honestly do not know on that.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a lot of them that are that way, and I've had people ask me, why do you do those sad songs? I kind of love them.
Yeah, I guess our ancestors did too.
Yeah.
'Cause they kept making them up.
It's funny, we used to get asked to play weddings quite a bit and want to do traditional bluegrass, and like, we can do this, but there's a lot of dreadful songs out there.
That do involve lovers and weddings.
Lovers, weddings, and there's death and destruction, and it's just terrible.
It is. Yeah, I wonder if it was a way of recording and it just happened to be that the dreadful topics were what made it.
And in those times, it might have been, those dreadful times stood out more than maybe the happy times, which is unfortunate, but
Yeah.
it could very well be.
And a lot of folks who couldn't read could
True,
sing and record things that way, I suppose.
exactly. Oral tradition, passing down stories and songs.
Do you see me any ballad singers around?
I've run onto a few down here over the years, but nothing, not like if we were out in, West Virginia, North Carolina. We run onto a lot out there, but around here I really haven't.
Yeah, I agree.
Which there needs to be more, because I like good ballads.
What about up north? Kind of the same way.
You might have a few here or there, but that's about it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all the questions I have for you. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about? There's probably a bunch of things.
Although I'm sure there's lots of things, I just can't think of any. I get in front of a camera and then I just draw blank.
Me too. Well, would you mind singing or playing one more for us?
Yeah.
Close it out.
After I get that. I'll do one that I haven't done in 10 years. How about
Oh, nice. That sounds good to me.
An old guy that I knew years ago, he called this the telephone song. He was traveling through Arkansas 50 years ago, and there was a guy on the front porch playing it. It's a simple little song, but it's different. Just a simple little melody, but it's pretty.
Have you ever heard it anywhere else other than?
Never. Nope.
Man, you're probably the only one who knows it anymore.
Yeah, I'd say probably so.
Wow. The telephone song.
The telephone song.
Well, thank you so much for meeting with me today.
Thank you very much.
It's
I
been
appreciate
really fun. And everybody needs to come out to the Firehouse Jam.
Absolutely. Come on out. It's a great time. We'll play all night long.
Well, thank you so much, Josh.
Thank you, Emily.
And this has been another edition of Songs of the Ozarks.